Hey guys, I'm filming from my in-laws house on vacation here. I finished this bracelet, and so for anyone catching this video that didn't see the previous one, I started this on a live that was with Carol and Jennifer featuring the June JB Party Box. And in that live, I warped the jewel loom and started doing the stitching. And since then, I've evolved it a little bit. The pattern has a back and forth going on with the crystal, and so the way that I did that is going to be in a pattern that I'll put in the description for this video, as well as just a couple really good photos of how the loom was set up when I was stitching it, so you can get your warps in the same place. So this video primarily is me taking it off the loom. So take it off the loom and then pull all the warps through, and then after that I did a border. And the border is a really unusual new thing that I wasn't sure would work, but it works. So you notice this loom piece doesn't have threads on the side. So that's a new cool thing. I'm not sure I'm 110% in love with how this looks up here. I mean, it looks cool from a distance, but up close in a really high-res photo, you can see it's not as clean as some of my work usually is, but this is an experiment to see how it would work, testing out an idea. And then also you'll notice throughout the video that there's lots of wind. Things start blowing away. But anyway, it's a fun one, something different. And it just shows like how I finished this. I don't have a clasp to put on it yet, but I'll do some glamour photos when I get back home and post them. But for now, here is how I got it from on the loom to off, and how I pulled in all those warps, and then how to do that border. All right, hope you enjoy it. All right, let's take this thing off the loom here. There we go. Okay, so the only parts that I cut were the parts that were tied originally here. When I warped it, I tied here and I tied here. That's the only part I'm cutting. I'm not going to cut these. I'm going to go ahead and take those off. So the best way to do that is just put a tiny little bit of pressure. Let me move back and show you. So I'm holding it up here, and I'm going to just push down a tiny little bit in order to get the first little bit off the button back here. There we go. Any more? Yeah, there's one more. Okay, so now that that's free, come around here and free that side. There we go. Let's go smooth that out a little bit. And looks good. All right, so what I've done here is I've separated out the loops. So you can see I've got the loops here. They're all separated, right? Same thing up there. Loops are separated. And we're just going to do the pull thing to try to get those to disappear into the work. And so you can kind of start anywhere, but I'm going to start here. And just whatever side you start on, you got to remember to switch to the bottom from that side. So pull this one. And I think what I'll do for this design is I'll do a diagram. And I want you guys to see what's happening down here. This isn't my usual video setup because I am traveling. So let's just do, I'm pulling on this one up here, and it's just going to pull this one right here, tied against that bead. Just go slowly, gently, make sure everything's staying flat and good. I usually just put my whole hand on it and then just very gently pulling. probably only need the pliers for the first couple and the last one. All right, so I'm just bring that closer. You see how that one just snuggled up? You don't want to go too tight. The thread does show, but it's going to show very lightly. So now I'm going to pull this strand right here. So let's grab that one. And then just really gently. And I'm watching at the top. I pulled that one. So now I'm going to pull this strand. This is the edge work. Let's see if I can do this one by hand. If not, we'll just grab those pliers back. This might be better, actually. Let's do it this way. Okay. Let's see. So I want this one. Again, I'm just going to hold everything flat. And you can see this one moving over here. So one thing that's happening is it's grabbing one of the other loops. So let's pull that up. And go back to it. And we've got it. And there we go. Okay, so one side is done. The only thing I have to weave in at this side is going to be those two there. This was the last part of the weft, and the really long side work. So remember when we started up here, we started pulling on that side. We're going to want to pull now from the bottom, because when we started in the middle before, we were starting at the top. This was a tricky thing for me to remember too, so I was going to mention that. And I'm going to see, I might need pliers for just this part. What I'm expecting to happen is for this one to come down. Just right there at the top. And it's moving. And it's got a little bit of stuff stuck in it. Let's clear that out. There we go. Okay. Let's do sideways again. So just pull in here. When it gets closer, I'm going to slow down a lot. Okay. So this one, you're going to see a little bit more of it. I'm try to make that closer. Not too bad though, see? And this technique will show on the edges. And there's a couple things we can do there to hide that later, but I actually don't mind seeing it. And it doesn't structurally hurt my piece. Let's see. I might actually move the camera just a little bit. Let's do it. So you can see what I'm doing a little better. There we go. Okay. And let's move this. There we go. So I'm just getting this long, let me show you here. Let's go up higher. Okay, so I'm getting this really long one to disappear. So ignore this side one for now. We're getting this super long one disappear by pulling on that one. There we go. And I could do this without the pliers, looks like. Okay. You can see it coming right up right there. Back to this one. Make sure everything is cleared away from the loop that's going to pull. So let's get those two sides out of the way. Side warp out of the way. This is the really super long one right here that we're going to pull in. It's going to pull in right here. Okay. And now this one. This one is going to be tighter. For some reason, when you're looming, you always make this edge really tight. It happens to me a lot. So I'm going to take my pliers here and use that to pull. This is going to be a long one. Let's try to make it a little easier to see. A little closer to myself. There we go. All right. Getting close there at the bottom. All set. So just these up here to weave in. I got leftover weft here. And let's embellish the side and put some kind of closure on it. All right, let's start by weaving in the leftover weft thread on this side. One of the ways I like to do that is, so I've got a needle on this. It's this one. I'm going to jump over this side of the work right here, jumping over it, right? And then going right back into the same bead that I'm exiting. And that just gets me back into the work. And so far I'm just here. And here's what happens when you do that. And don't pull too hard, but what it's going to do is it's just going to lock there. See, it's using this as a way to, and it just makes it so you don't have to have your thread showing going this way. I mean, you can do that, but that looks so clean. So that's what I do with my loom pieces. And then I'll take this piece here and I'll very, very carefully try to find the weft that is there already. And see how I went under that? Under those little wefts? That's a really great way to weave in. And it structurally keeps everything a little more solid. It's giving it a little more bulk, but it's not making you weave around in the beads. And that's especially handy with little tiny beads where it's hard to get through them a bunch of times. And so go through, I'm just going through a few here. And I'm going to find some more spots where I can do that same trick again. There, see how I did that? Just going to come through there. So I'm going to do that with the thread here and the thread here. Sorry, here at the bottom. And then I'm going to keep my two super, super long ends of the warps over here. Bring that back on the camera here. I'm keeping these for now. I'm going to do something with these, but for now I'm just going to weave in the remaining end here. Let's see here. Just went under those wefts. Let's go through. Go through here. Okay. Let's go ahead and trim that. All right, so the way I think it's going to be good to attach this, I'm going to show a few steps, is I'm going to go ahead and just mirror the bead that is in the end row, that up, and go through the, it's basically 9 holes across, and we have 9 beads across here. It's going to be a little wider, but I noticed that it kind of still worked. And I tried it once and then pulled it out so I could show you guys. And I think what's going to happen is I'm going to end up wanting to put something on the side, but we'll see when we get there how it looks. For now, I'm just picking up a bead. I'm exiting from the side here, right? The side of this 11-0. I picked up a new 11-0 and I went through the hole, the finding. Go back through the 11-0. And when you do that, it'll do this to you. It'll start getting tighter and tighter. Bring it down to meet the work. And then what you want to do is go through the cube. And what it does is it makes the 11-0 we just went back through snuggle like this. Again, Basically just like that. It's a little loose right now. We're going to tighten that up as we go. So now I need a cube. Okay, so got the cube on there. And I need to make sure I go through the second hole. I went through the wrong one last time, so I had to undo it. Here we go. And now back through the cube. And I'm going to go ahead and continue through the next 11 row. This should look a lot better. There we go. Okay. So it's loose, but this is basically what we're going to do. And keep in mind, this is going to get reinforced, tightened, and then I might do extra stuff along the side yet. Just need to get there and see. Don't always know. So let's do one more, and then I'll show you the next step. We'll do a fast forward. So here's an 11-0. And I'm going to go through the third hole here, making sure I go through the right one. Okay. So it's one hole for each bead. Back through the 11-0 there. And then let's go through the 11-0 that we were exiting. So this just hugs it, right? And I'll go ahead and continue through the crystal that's next in the row. Right? And there you go. It's just getting easier every time. And things are loose. It's going to get tightened. Not going to worry too much about it right now. But that's the general structure I'm going for. See? So let's continue and finish the row. And then we'll do the next steps. All right, so I finished all that. And, you know, it doesn't look great yet. I don't like the way it fans out. And I do kind of wish I'd made it wider. But if I'd made it wider with this size beads, what I'm looking at is needing a different orientation. They'd have to be facing this way. Since it's loomed, they're facing this way. And a wider piece would have had to share holes with some of the beads, which is kind of the way it works with the whole position on this particular finding. So I just finished adding the last 11-0. What I'm going to do to just center everything up is I'm going to come back up through it. And then I'm going to go through the hole on this finding. This is the edge one there. And I'm going to come back down through it. And this is where I might take a look at the other side. So for here, I have a feeling I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take and start stitching down the side in a way that kind of makes the symmetry. So let me explain. I'm going to go ahead and add beads coming out of here that link into the sides in a kind of unique looking way. I'll play with it a little bit. It might look like a peek out, might like a little, like a scallop, or even just a little you know, loop in and out. We'll do that coming out of this one, but we need somewhere to go up here, and I haven't finished this side yet. So I need to repeat everything I did down here, up here with the other one, so that I have somewhere to meet. And these strands are much longer. These are the leftover warps I have. So those warps are going to come all the way back down and probably meet this one. And of course come over here. So I'm going to have plenty of thread. I'm not going to have to weave in any thread. That's going to be great. I just need to get a matching side to this done. And I wanted to also point out just one other quick little thing is that when I did the loop around the crystal, so we were doing 1 for 1, and then when I got to the crystal, I just went ahead and did an 11-0 because the height of the crystals and the width of the crystals, I don't know, maybe it would have been good actually. Maybe I should have done that, and that would have made the width a little bit wider. I could try it on the other side and see. It's all part of the process here. And I don't like how loose this is. So this all needs work. This all needs a little bit of extra. Let's see what happens. All right, I'm actually really liking this now. So here's how it looks. And here at the top, I did one side and I figured out the process so I can show you how I did this, but it's a border that makes the connection there with the edge 11-0 that we stitched on. Basically just got that beautiful border on there. So here's how I did it. So from here, after you've done the edge, the way we did it before above, and I'll diagram that out, but once you've done that, you're going to have your thread exiting from that edge 11-0, and there's a lot of space underneath it. All I did was I picked up a cube bead. Let's get to the middle here. And you see on the edge here how, I mean, you could call it a thread bridge, I think. Why not call it a thread bridge? It's the bridge that connects this first 11-0 with the second one, running sideways. So I'm going to go under the first one. Let me show you that really quick. So that's just going under that, and pull through, and pop. That's the whole process. Let's do a bunch so you can see how it all just kind of goes together. Here's the next thread bridge. And I'm just making sure this thread stays in front of the last bead. And what happens when you do that is they pop to the side. This is what I was mentioning on our live last, was it last week? Or, I don't remember, but it comes out pretty good, right? And it just makes it look like it's floating, but there's a step I'm going to show you right at the end where we go back through it and tighten everything up. But it's basically one for one. You pick up a bead and go under the thread bridge, but you never go back through the bead. So you just let it pop on there. Ooh, it's getting windy. So I'm going to do that to the end and then show you how to end it. All right, coming up right on the end here. I just thought I would finish a few more stitches while filming it because it looks really cool going on. So just picking up a bead here. You can see they just flip. This border would be cool on other designs too. I feel like the attaching to the finding adds a little complexity, but this border could be done on anything. You don't have to do it as part of a finding attachment. Any loom piece could have this edge. And I believe this would work with other beads besides cubes. Cubes are nice because they pop like that, right? But it'll work with 11-0 round, 8-0 round, whatever you're using. You want to keep it one for one with the beads you've got it going next to. For simplicity, not a requirement, just makes it easier. Okay, so whoop. My camera keeps falling. And a minute ago, my mat blew away and all my beads went all over the place. Cool side filming. Not as amazing as I was like thinking it was gonna be. But we're making it work. Okay, last bead. See this little tight spot we've got here? And I can't really get under the thread bridge that was there because I've got my bead built under it. I'm just going to go under the threads that are here, all of them. And bring that up. And this is how I did it on the other side. And this worked out great. And then just go through that bead. There you go. And that's the edge. Right in on both sides. It looks really cute. So to weave in, once again, we're going to need to go through the finding because we just came up through that bead that's attached to it. Let's go through the finding here. Edge, the edge hole. Back through the bead. You can continue all the way down through the side beads. And this makes it, don't pull super, super tight, but it makes it look really uniform. Let me just make sure I didn't skip anything up here. It looks a little wonky. No. Seems okay. Just a little bit of thread showing there that I don't love. I'll probably make this again and perfect it. This was the prototype, so there was a lot of pulling thread out, experimenting. It's not as clean as I'd like it to be. Thought I can teach you what I did and yours will be better. So let's keep going. Basically what I'm doing is I'm heading down here to the bottom. And using up all that nice extra warp thread that we had from that pulley thing we did. Just making sure I don't skip one because that would be very, very dramatically looking if I did. And then go ahead and continue through that bead. Do another loop around and then weave in. And we got it. Loop around, I mean going through the finding. Down. And I think I'll head to the bead now. So I'm going to just weave around and trim, and that's all I've got left to do.